Hey folks, welcome back. Earlier today, the Secretary General of the African National Congress, Fikile Mbalula, held a press conference giving the results of the National Working Committee of the African National Congress, sharing it with the press. He had some correct things to say, he had some ludicrous things to say, and he had some bat-crap crazy things to say. Let's talk about some of the quotes that came out of this press conference. First, he recognized Action SA and BOSA for their maturity in supporting the ANC's budget, which oppresses the poor. Okay, well, yeah, raise the rates, make people poor. I got it, sure. Just to keep the gravy train going. That's maturity, I suppose. He said that we are deeply concerned about the conduct of the Democratic Alliance, whose participation in the Govt of National Unity has been marred by double dealing, negotiating, and acting in bad faith, and for open disdain for transformation. Well, a couple comments about that. The thing is that it was the ANC that ignored the Democratic Alliance's budget proposal for 11 days. So who is acting in bad faith? And as far as double dealing, it was the ANC who approached the economic freedom fighters who are not in the Govt of National Unity to get them to agree to a deal on the budget. So who's double dealing here and who's acting in bad faith? Well, the ANC has been acting in bad faith. They're the ones double dealing, not the Democratic Alliance. And they're negotiating? Well, of course they're negotiating. You're part of a coalition. You negotiate on behalf of your constituents the best outcome for the country and for your constituents. What kind of moron is this guy? Of course you negotiate. Good Lord. He said the National Working Council has agreed that there needs to be a re-engagement of the GNU. Well, I would agree with you. I suppose it's a first for everything. You're actually going to engage with members of the GNU. I mean, unlike we saw before when Ramaphosa just signed the expropriation without compensation bill and didn't inform anybody. Signed the bill didn't inform people. Fikile Mbalula says that government has to serve. Ostensibly, he means the people, not the caterers, but he says has to serve. Well, I agree. Back to the transformation thing, he said the DA has open disdain for transformation. Well, they should have open disdain for transformation. Transformation is a dog whistle for racial discrimination. It's not about transformation. If it was about transformation, the South African government would have invested in the police and security, it would have invested in education properly, and it would have restored the society rather than have a vengeful, revengeful approach to things and pilfering for 31 years. And then when they couldn't pilfer anymore, there's nothing left to steal, then they turn on the minority population, just like Zimbabwe did. So transformation is a dog whistle for racism and exclusion, racial exclusion. So anybody that opposes transformation has probably got their head screwed on straight. Everyone's the same. No one should get any advantage based on their skin color or disadvantage based on their skin color. And anybody believes that they should is a bigot and racist. Transformation is a racist policy. So there you go. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. So he said that the ANC will not cede the transformation agenda to those who do not agree with it. Well, that was a clear message to the Democratic Alliance, the Freedom Front Plus, and also a quiet message to Donald Trump, because he doesn't believe in DEI, which is essentially what this transformation BS is DEI. So basically what the ANC is saying is they're now going to go down the road to oblivion. They're going to destroy South Africa, and they don't care, in the interest of racial discrimination, perpetrating and perpetuating the actions of the National Party, which of course is part of the roots. The ANC's antecedent roots include the National Party, who merged with them in the late 1990s, early part of the 2000s. Yeah, so they're going to go down the road to oblivion. That's what they want to do. They want to take South Africa down the road to oblivion just because of their arrogance and their race hustling. So, as I mentioned, it is kind of funny when Mbalula accuses the DA of double dealing and bad faith when it was the ANC that went outside the Govt of National Unity to negotiate with third parties to get a budget, betraying the Govt of National Unity. It's also the ANC that betrayed this agreement from the very beginning. The ANC didn't enter a coalition with anyone other than the DA. The DA and the ANC reached this agreement. And then the ANC double-dealed and went behind the DA's back and invited 8 other parties to join. Now, Mbalula says the GNU reset means that the Govt of National Unity has to be grounded by rules, not a statement of intent. Well, that's one thing he said that's actually smart. Should have been done last year. And that's why I said this government wouldn't last, because you don't have any basis for negotiating and solving problems. So now they're actually going to look at having rules. Well, it's a bit late in the game now, so you're going to give tiny parties like the Good Party is saying what the rules are? Now, the rules should have been established by the Democratic Alliance and by the ANC. This will not work. Not going to work. Now, Fikile Mbalula did make an interesting admission. He said that the ANC doesn't have a majority. We know that, but it's hard for the ANC to admit that. He says that they need to listen to others. Well, they do, but they don't. They do need to listen to others, but they don't listen to others. That's the problem. He said, but the ANC will not beg the EFF, MK, or the DA. Well, you shouldn't have to beg anybody. You should actually just do your job. He said the DA can walk if they like. Let them walk. Well, they don't want the DA, do they? They never did. We are not beholden to the DA. We're not beholden to the DA. We're beholden to South Africa. Sorry, I had to pause on that because the ANC is not beholden to South Africa or South Africans. They're beholden to cadres and connected privileged elites. That's who they're beholden to, and that's who they've always been beholden to. They don't give a flying flip about South Africans. If they did, they never would have stole trillions of rand. They never would have allowed predators to prey on prepubescent girls for grades in KwaZulu-Natal, infecting them with HIV and pregnancy and destroying their lives. Never would have allowed that to happen. Would have prosecuted criminals if they actually cared about South Africans. Now, he also accused, oh my goodness, business of being erratic, because business leaders apparently are telling the ANC that they only will support the government if the DA is part of Govt of National Unity. I don't know if that's true, but that's what the DA is saying as well. He's calling business erratic. They're not erratic. Business needs stability. And unfortunately for South Africans, the ANC and the DA in a do-nothing coalition, Govt of National Unity, is stable. It's stable, slow descent to the bottom, but that works for the elites in business. They're still making money while everyone else suffers, especially entrepreneurs. He says if the DA does walk, they will have to explain that. Have to explain why they're walking away, because everything suggests that we are walking to the moon. The DA is walking to the moon. Now, I think maybe Fikile Mbalula misses Michael Jackson's moonwalk, and he's confusing the two. And a final comment here, he claimed that the U.S. is basing sanctions on false basis to sanction people in South Africa. Well, nobody's sanctioning South Africa, but Ronnie Jackson has put a piece of legislation, a bill, before the House of Representatives to sanction South African leaders from the ANC and members of the government for human rights abuses, among other things. And there is a basis for that. There have been human rights abuses. There have been human rights abuses, and the government of South Africa has not protected all South Africans equally under the law. It's simple as that. That's a statement of fact. So you can claim false basis, but I suspect, Fikile, we have better information on what's happening in your country, my nation does, than your own government does. What say you, South Africa? Should we take Fikile seriously? He did make a few good statements here, but this nonsense about the ANC kicking the DA out or the DA leaving. See, the reason the DA hasn't been kicked out by the ANC, which they're desperate to get rid of them, is because they don't have the ability to do it. They're lying to the public, and the DA, for whatever reason, is sitting around like a bunch of, weak, limp lizards, not telling people that this is our agreement. The DA and the ANC, we reached this agreement. It's our coalition. The ANC acted in bad faith by inviting 8 other people into the party, and we didn't complain because we don't mind. They can't kick us out, and we can't kick them out. Where is the DA in all this? Silent. Do they realize that they have the power? Apparently they don't. Just like when they entered the Govt of National Unity, they got Mox Nix ministries. No power, no security sector, no finance, no foreign affairs, and look what that's led to. Paralysis and the oppression of South Africa's minorities, and the whole population for that matter. What say you, South Africa? I think things are going to get bumpy.